She's sharp in the boardroom, very fierce in the boxing ring. Today I'm here at Wisdom Boxing Gym to have a conversation with Sedem Ama. Sedem, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let me start this way, right? I discovered you not so long ago, but when I met you for the first time, you were so nice, very sweet, and then I was by the ringside when you were fighting.
Oh,
And
right.
I saw your eyes, I saw how hard you went. I mean,
Yeah.
how is that?
You just lock in. As soon as it gets to, when the bell goes,
Right.
you just transform into a different person. So you just block everything out, all the noise out, and perform. So I'm definitely two different people inside the ring and outside the ring.
Right. So before boxing, who was Sedem?
Sedem was working in public relations and still does. Sedem was having very early mornings and late nights and still does. I'm still the same person, it's just that now I've got boxing as part of my lifestyle. So yeah, I'm juggling both working in the corporate world and being a professional athlete and trying my best.
So how are you able to do that? Because corporate alone is not easy.
It's not easy, and I'm in a very senior position as well, so it just requires a lot of routine. I have a lot of to-do lists and a lot of schedules. I plan my weeks out, a week in advance, just so I know what I'm doing. So it is difficult, but you just have to take it as it comes.
Right. So being like a female boxer, tell me about your childhood. What transformed? What's the reason why you decided to go into this profession?
So growing up, I did a lot of sports. I started swimming, then I did performing arts. I played a lot of instruments.
Right.
I actually practiced taekwondo. And then, when I got into the working world, I finished university. I wasn't doing any sports at all. I was just going to work and coming home. And I realized that it's actually very stressful doing that. You need to have something positive, some kind of outlet to let the stress and the frustration out. And so one day my colleague just invited me to a boxing gym. And honestly, that was it. I really enjoyed it. I loved the peace that it gave me. It was tough. And then I just took it really seriously. I did a charity boxing match and then loved it. Sold a lot of tickets and I was like, I could try this. And then, from there, joined the amateur system. And history was written from there.
So you talk about getting peace from fighting. I mean, fighting is aggression. It's, a lot of strength and, punching people in the face.
Yeah.
How is that giving you peace?
I guess the stresses of the day, that you can go to the gym and hit the bags and release all that tension. There's so many studies about how, doing sports or just going to the gym, doing any kind of exercise helps the brain and it releases endorphins. And so I think boxing is an extreme version of that, but I love it and I've enjoyed every minute of it ever since I started. So
what did your family think?
At first, when I said I was doing a charity match, they said, that's cool, that's good, you're doing something positive. And then when I said I was joining the amateurs, then they started to realize it was getting a bit too serious. And then going professional, now they're like, okay, this is what we're doing. But they're very supportive. They know that I come from a family, if you want to start something, you have to make sure you do it properly. And so they're like, if you're going to do it, just give it everything you can. And then when you retire, then you know that you've done your best. So that's where we're at right now, trying and doing our best.
Right. So talking about family, tell me about your family life growing up. You were born in the UK?
I was born in the UK, but I was raised as a Ghanaian, to be honest with you, because my parents had come to the UK not that long before I was born. So I came back to Ghana very often, every year, every summer I was in Ghana, really and truly. So my dad's a reverend. My dad's a reverend, his brother's a reverend, and I have a lot of military guys in my family. So I grew up, definitely, it was a disciplined household, which gave me the structure. So I think that actually helped with going into the corporate world, going into boxing, because I already knew what structure and discipline was. And I just transferred it into something different. So I had a very, very comfortable upbringing. I don't have one of those stories that a lot of boxers have where they had to fight for their life. No, I used to go to school, go to church on Sunday, be in the choir, do, you know, my sports, but it just helped me for moving into the real world, I think. So all of our stories are different, and mine is definitely very unorthodox for what you see.
Okay, so comparing the UK to Ghana, do you think that if you grew up here in Ghana, the story would have been the same?
I would say so, yeah, because my family here, as I said, they're in the military, or they're in the church. So I probably would have grown up probably the same. I don't think I would have got into boxing though, probably not. I probably would have just maybe they would have persuaded me to do that, but yeah, it probably would have been the same. But I'm very blessed that I was able to experience both worlds, because growing up in the UK is completely different, but the culture is very, very different. But you know, we have a big community of Africans, especially where I grew up in London, so you still feel like you have a piece of home.
Right. So being an African woman in boxing, how is it like? How is it difficult?
I mean,
does it make it easier?
Well, I'm not sure if it's difficult or easy. I guess, you know, the doors are opening. Okay. There aren't a lot of female athletes in Africa who have a big profile, especially professional boxers. So I think at the moment, you know, there's an opportunity for me to be a trailblazer and to make a mark and to encourage other young girls or women to get into boxing, even if it's just recreationally, but there's an opportunity for us. We shouldn't see it as just a man's sport. You know, in Ghana we've had loads of champions, credible champions, and you know, we want there to be women who can also raise the flag for Ghana. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction, and I'm paving the way, hopefully.
Be an inspiration to
Yes, exactly.
Has there been like any fear? You know, have you doubted ever that, can I do this? Like, have you ever come across any challenge that
I've had so many challenges. You know, it has not been a smooth journey at all. It's been difficult, you know, but you just have to, you know, I'm very religious. I said I come from a Christian home, so I just have to pray and do my best, basically. But yeah, it's been very challenging because you sometimes you have fights. They say you're going to fight on this day and it doesn't materialize, or you have opponents and they fall through. So there's all kinds of challenges, but you just have to persevere.
Right. So let's talk about your corporate world. How are you able to? I know you spoke about it, but how are you able to juggle between that? Doesn't it conflict each other?
It's hard. I won't lie to you. I wake up very early in the morning, I train, I go to the office on some days, and then I train again in the evening, and then usually when I get home from training, then I'm doing more work. So, you know, my brain is always switched on, to be honest. I don't get a lot of rest. But yeah, we're just trying. A lot of athletes, they do have a job. Not necessarily the job that I have, but a lot of athletes are having to do both things because you have to pay the bills. And so in a dream world, obviously, I'd go to training in the morning and come home and rest and then go back to the gym. But no, my story is that I have to be in the office or I have to answer emails. So yeah, even as I've been out here, I've been working actually. So yeah.
So how do you rest? How do you relax? Do you ever rest?
Probably not as much.
Think that's good?
Well, I'm working on it. Everything is a work in progress. But yeah, no, we're trying.
What are your colleagues saying?
I mean, they're stunned. The agency that I work at, a lot of them do sports. We have a lot of people that run marathons. We have a hockey player, a rugby player, semi-pro footballer. So they understand that you have to do stuff that you're passionate about. Obviously, boxing is very different, but they're very, very supportive, and I'm blessed for that.
Right. Have you ever had to hide that side of you, boxing, corporate world?
Yeah, I don't reveal it usually in the beginning. It's only if you are a boxing lover, then you probably will know my face in the UK because, you know, the people who I'm affiliated with, or you'll see me at a boxing show or something like that. So yeah, I don't, it's not the first thing I say. If people say, what did you do over the weekend? I usually don't tell them, oh, I was at training. No, I usually wait a little bit, but you know, it's just trying to make it work, I guess.
Which version of you is so real? I mean, boxing, corporate, which one do you think is real?
Real? Ooh. I'd probably say the boxing because in the corporate world, a lot of the time you have to, you know, you're in meetings and you have to put on, not necessarily a mask, but you have to present yourself in a certain way. I obviously work in an industry where there are a lot of females, but it's male dominated the more senior you get. And also, I'm a Black African woman as well. You don't get many senior Black African women in my industry. So, yeah, I'd probably say I'm more real in the boxing gym. I'm still the minority. You know, I train in a gym full of boys. Yeah, so, but that's just something that most Black female athletes or female athletes anywhere will experience. They're probably usually one of the only ones, and it's just something that we navigate.
What are some of the challenges? I mean, you talked about being a minority, only female, probably in the gym at the time you are training. You know, people who are into sports, I think that they are tagged a certain way.
Okay, in what way?
I mean, that they are very strong.
Okay.
They are more masculine. I don't know if you heard that.
Yes.
What are some of the things you've heard, and has it affected you personally?
Yeah, no, it hasn't affected me, no. But yeah, a lot of the time, if you see, especially professional female athletes, they do say that we are more masculine, or you know. But I'm a more feminine person, as you can see. So I think people are probably surprised at that. I think when I came to Ghana,
what do you do differently?
I just think that the way I dress, the way I carry myself is probably more feminine. And there's nothing wrong with being a more masculine female, but this is just how I present myself. I think when I came to Ghana and I fought for the title in December, people were surprised that I had, you know, made an effort with my appearance, because this is not something that they generally see. That's quite normal. In the UK or in America, this is quite normal, but I don't think the Ghanaian supporters were familiar with that. But yeah, some of us athletes, we like to look good and feel good and present ourselves in this way, and it's okay. It doesn't mean that we're not taking the job less seriously. It just means that this is how we express ourselves.
Do you get, this is a bit personal, do you think men are scared of you? I mean, when it comes to relationship and all that, are men afraid? I mean, people will say, I don't want to be with a fighter, I don't want her to beat me up.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that quite a lot. That's a misconception. I think that's probably what people think, but in reality, I think a lot of female athletes are actually very calm and soft. So, yeah, that's something I've heard, but it doesn't necessarily apply to me.
Have you had to beat someone outside the ring?
No, because I know that I can fight in real life. I don't need to put my hands on anybody outside the ring. I save all the anger and frustration for when I'm competing. Yeah. Okay.
So I've seen that you've done PR, a bit of journalism.
Yeah. So I started off as a journalist. Yeah.
Right. And now boxing. Now you've never lost. You've won your medals, your belts.
Yeah.
What is win for you aside the medals and the belts?
It's just, you know, we put a lot of work into not even just competing, but into training. You know, where I train back in the UK, I have to travel for an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes to get there. You know, it's very difficult. So when you get the victory at the end, you just know that everything that you worked for has come to fruition. So thank God that I can say that I've never lost. But yeah, we just pray that the performances develop and they get better, so that, everyone can see how good I really am.
So before we go, there will be a lot of women, young girls watching, and people talk about security with their job. Do you think that being in boxing and doing corporate, which one is more secured, and what advice will you give them? Should they go for just security or go for their passion?
I think that, you know, working in the corporate world is more secure. You know, you're probably on a salary, so you know that you're going to have money coming in every month. Or if you're a contractor, you've got a contract where you know you're going to be working for X amount of time. So yes, working in the corporate world is more secure. However, I do think that it shouldn't stop us from following our dreams. I think that for the young girls, it's very important to get an education or to get upskilled as far as you can. So for example, if you like dressmaking, go and do an apprenticeship as a dressmaker, and then make sure that you've got that in your back pocket. Because what happens to a lot of athletes that I've seen is that they focus on the sport and then they don't have anything when things go wrong or when they're ready to retire. And I think it's really important that you have a backup plan always. So whatever that thing could be, make sure you have a backup plan so that you can fall back on it, or you can do it alongside your sport while you're active.
So you think that, is there a lot of money in boxing?
I mean, it depends.
Can you do it full time?
I mean, to be honest with you, only a small amount of people can do it full time and be comfortable. A very small amount of people. And for females, there's a lot of disparity in how much we get paid. So I would always say, even if you are a superstar, have something else that you've got coming in. Whether it's even, for example, modeling, whether it's investing in property, you know, and this doesn't just apply to boxers, it applies to a lot of athletes. If you're a footballer or if you play golf, tennis, make sure you have something else that you can rely on, so that if you, God forbid, get injured or say something happens, you know, your fight gets cancelled, there's money coming in so that you're not, you know, uncomfortable, let's say. It's very important. But if you're young and you're in school, make sure you finish school. Make sure that you go and do your apprenticeship or whatever that may be, and have something else that you can fall back on, because it's very helpful. And I found as well that me having a university degree and a professional qualification in journalism, all those skills massively helped me in boxing, because when it got to the business, a lot of the time I can read my own contracts and write my own contracts. I understand the information that people are telling me. If you don't have that sort of education, then how will you understand the meetings that you're going into? So it's really important to upskill yourself as much as possible, or have a good team around you that can teach you how to navigate in those situations.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the future like?
I mean, you know, we're climbing up the rankings now, and I think we're in a good position. What we need is activity and some rest. And then, yeah, hopefully we'll be fighting for world titles very soon. But yeah, I think we're in a good position right now. So it's just to keep moving forward.
All right. So if your career in boxing is coming to an end, heading towards retirement, what would you like to be remembered for?
That I was somebody that did it differently. Right. You know, as I said, you know, I come from the corporate world. I started boxing very late. And that, yeah, I did it differently. I have a different story to tell, but I still persevered and I came out on top. So, and also I did a lot in the community. I think it's really important for me coming back to Ghana and, you know, engaging with young people. I think it's really important because I want to show that I can give back as well. So yeah, it's just somebody making a difference and doing it differently is what I'd love people to say.
When you say you came into boxing late, how old were you? When did you start?
So I was in my mid-20s. A lot of people start boxing at 7, 8, 9 years old. You see even some of the guys in the gym, they're young. So yeah, I started boxing really late. I was well into my career. At the time I was a senior manager, and now I'm a director. So yeah, I started late, but it doesn't mean that you can't do something if you start it late. I just was able to make a mark with the you know, you play the cards that you're dealt basically, and that's what I did.
And when you think you're going to hang your gloves and say that no?
Oh, it's hard to say. I don't even want to think there yet because I feel like we've got so much to do.
Okay.
I feel like we're only
next 10 years.
I hope so. I don't want to be getting punched for another 10 years, but I feel like we've just started making our mark. We've just started, you know, pushing forward. So now it's about activity, and then yeah, we take it from there.
Okay. Congratulations on your last fight.
Thank you.
How was it like preparing, you know, the journey you won?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So it was, you know, so when I came back from Ghana in January, I was straight back in the gym to prepare for this fight. And so I've been in the gym for 3 months, hard training camp, long training camp. And, you know, you prepare for one opponent, but you never know what's going to happen. And on this occasion, the opponent that we prepared for couldn't make it to fight night. And so we literally had less than 24 hours to find a replacement. And so then you have to, you know, make sure that you have the right team around you who can help you make decisions, whether you fight or not, because time is small, options are small. And so, yeah, when we actually got into the ring, honestly, I was just grateful that I was able to fight because I wasn't sure that it could happen.
There was no game plan. You didn't prepare for her in particular.
I didn't prepare for her in particular. However, I had fought her previously. So I did know what she was about. I did have that benefit. And I also knew that she had boxed a couple of weeks beforehand as well. So she was fit. And we wanted to give the supporters and everyone there a good show. And we knew that she would come to fight. We didn't want to bring someone in who wouldn't come to fight and then it wouldn't be entertaining. And I also learned nothing from that as well. So yeah, the victory, honestly, I'm just grateful for it because there was a lot going on in the preceding 24 hours. But yeah, that's why you need to have a good team to help you navigate those situations, honestly.
Right, I was going to end, but what's your meal plan like? Your routine when you wake up?
Yeah.
Your workouts, meal, how is it like?
So I do a lot of the food prep myself.
Okay.
I eat maybe like I probably eat about 4 to 5 meals a day. I eat small meals every day. Okay. I do that in and out of camp, by the way. So I'm limited on the wache that I can eat in Ghana at the moment. But I have a high protein diet because I feel like it gives me a lot of energy. And I try to, just make sure that there's always vegetables involved in my meals. So, but I do a lot of the cooking myself because I am so busy and I am in the office. I try to cook maybe like 3-4, I batch cook basically, so I cook for 3-4 days in advance. And that helps me basically when I get home from work or when I get home from the gym, I just literally take it out of the fridge and I can eat it quickly and be on my way. So it's a lot of organization that is involved in my lifestyle, but we make it work.
All right, thank you very much, Sedem.
Thanks for having me. I'm Sedem Ama, a professional boxer and the current WBA Super Welterweight champion. Make sure you lock into Red Stories by King Dzidu.